Hi, welcome to Postcards at Our Pace. I'm Greg.
And I'm Tammy.
And we're a retired couple who sold everything they had to explore the world 1 month at a time with our little dog Brody, who is, once again, crashed on the couch.
Yep.
Today we're going to be talking about what we went through to go ahead and get rid of everything so that we can go off on this journey. And we're going to try and follow a little different approach this time. We're going to do a question and answer process. So we'll see how this goes, right?
Yeah, we'll see. We may end up
it.
rambling the entire time.
Right.
Who knows?
So we'll see. So when we first started talking about getting rid of everything, what was the first thing that went through your head?
I think right away, it wasn't really real. It was just kind of a concept we were considering. But immediately I started thinking like, okay, well, don't add anything. Don't buy, because if you buy, then you've got to get rid of and you've got to make even more choices. So right off the bat, that's what I started thinking was don't buy. And then my second idea was I need to start going through the things that we have, which I usually do projects like that in the summer because as an educator, you've got that little chunk of time. What about you?
So for me, the first thing that I thought about was my hobby closet. So I had this, or had, I guess I don't have it anymore. I had this closet that was about 6 feet wide and about 10 feet long. And most people collect baseball cards or whatever, comic books. I collected those too. But I collect hobbies. And so that closet was full of photography equipment, art equipment, computer equipment, basically all the things that I've done over the years, shoved in that closet that we jokingly called the room that cannot be entered, because as soon as you open the door, you could not get in. Yeah, just like that. So my first thought was, how am I ever going to get rid of all that stuff?
All right. Question number 2.
All right. So what was that like once the process got started?
I'm very much a doer. Like, I need an action plan and I will get her done. Once the process got started, it really wasn't that hard for me. I methodically thought through, like, okay, it's summer and fall. So that'll be the first stuff that I get rid of that I think about. I didn't even allow myself to think about spring and what I was going to do with that, the clothes from that season, the decorations from that season. I just decided to take it in the season that we were in and the immediate following season. And so I methodically started getting rid of those things. I would look at my closet, I would wear the things for that time period, and then I would think, do I ever wear this again? Maybe it was a certain color palette or something like that, maybe like the burnt oranges and stuff of fall. And then I would think, well, I would not wear this again. I probably would not take it. I won't be wearing this in the spring. And so I would go ahead and get rid of those things. So that was kind of how I got started. What about you?
So for me, getting started was more about trying to get my head around the scope of the problem. So I started really by organizing everything. I tried to create this stack. I call them stacks, but they were really bins full of things. So I would get a bin, I would put in documents that needed to be sorted, scanned, and shredded. I'd have another bin full of computer equipment that needed to be dealt with, another bin full of art. So I would try to get things organized by bin. And then the idea was I would take a bin out at a time, clear it out, and then that piece would be done, and I would move on to the next one. Next question. What surprised you the most about getting rid of everything?
Actually, the most surprising thing to me was that it wasn't that hard. It really wasn't. I thought there were going to be pieces or items of clothing or something that I really, really loved and that were really hard to let go of. And what I found is as soon as I started just kind of making that decision that, okay, it's got to go, in a way, mentally, I guess I'd already let it go.
I think I was most surprised by how much fun it was. When I first started this, fun was not on the list of things that, this is not going to be fun. But actually, it really was. Anytime we gave something away to somebody, it was just so cool to see our stuff getting used by another generation instead of just being dumped off at Goodwill or being thrown away, to actually see enjoyment from those things. And it was really rewarding to do that. And we're going to get more into details about what happened as far as how we work with the community. But that to me was what was so surprising, is how much I enjoyed getting rid of everything. I was thinking about the process that we went through. The hardest thing to do was to get rid of the furniture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't, a lot of your furniture, nobody wants it. But we had the double problem that some of our furniture was huge. It was 20-year-old solid wood furniture that weighed hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
And finding somebody who could both want it, because it was older furniture, and then move it, because we weren't moving it for them, was not easy to do.
And I'll also add this about the furniture, is that you know how much you paid for that furniture, and it may have been a lot. And you're not going to get that back. You have to mentally just let it go.
Now, I will say, at least for me anyway, I was not expecting to make hardly any money. We made a lot more money than I was expecting off the furniture. But you're absolutely right. Your furniture is not worth what you want it to be worth. That's just the way it is.
No.
Next question is, what did you do, or how did you do it, and what was the process for doing that?
So I talked a bit about how I just tried to get rid of the things that I was using in that season. I didn't try to look ahead. So that was step one for me, was just do what's in front of you right now. The second thing that I did was, the big holiday coming up was going to be Christmas, where I had a lot of decor. When Christmas was over, I knew I wasn't going to put anything back in that closet that belonged to the Christmas season. Everything was going to come down. So what I did was, I basically just used the whole downstairs as a shopping area. I laid everything out and kind of tried to do it, to merchandise it, basically. And then I took a video and I sent it to groups that I was a part of in our neighborhood. People would take like 2 things. I needed them to take a bin full of stuff. And they were taking like, oh, let me take these 2 little things here and go off. I quickly realized that the neighborhood groups that I was a part of were not going to get it done. So I opened it up to the entire neighborhood, took another just panoramic video of everything, and said, everything is free. Come get it. And gave my address out. And people started coming down and saying, is it really free? My wife sent me down, and things like that. And people took a lot. And then at the end of that process, a couple of people said, the local middle school and elementary school decorate big, and we'll take anything that you have left, including the trees. And so they took the rest of it. So there's that. And then when it came down to the end, did you want to talk about that next, or did you want to add something else in?
I'm not sure where you're going. So
the free for all.
Oh yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the free for all now. I think this is a good spot for it.
So, but I did something called a free for all, and I put it up to the neighborhood again. To the whole neighborhood and all my groups that I was a part of. And I just said, all of this stuff has to go. It's free. Come get it. And that was so much fun.
Yeah, that was a blast. And it's the same thing. People used it for stuff that you were glad it got to go to good purpose. Like, I think one guy came and took a whole bunch of stuff for their church. So
right.
They could do decorating things there. And we had a mother and daughter. The daughter was going away to college, and basically redecorated part of her apartment for college with our stuff. And they also took the sand that we had collected Was it when we were in Panama before?
It was actually like on a trip. I kept collecting a little piece of sand and all the different
right.
beaches that we had gone to.
So they took that and they're going to add to it. So, our sand, our sand is somewhere in somebody's house, becoming part of their memories, which is all kind of neat. So, because what else were we going to do with all that?
Right.
I mean, if you look at it over your lifetime, and then you pass away and your kids have it, now they have this jar of sand sitting in a box somewhere in the attic, and they're going to look at it and not know what to do with it, and that's going to be the end of it. So it was neat to see those things go on while you were still there to appreciate somebody enjoying them.
Give yourself that gift of letting it go, but telling someone who truly wants it the value of it so that they can continue the story on, rather than leaving it for your family who won't know the story and won't know what to do with it. And they'll feel bad. They'll feel bad that they're getting rid of these things that they know were precious to you, but they won't know what the story was behind them.
As far as for myself, my process is a little bit different because I had to deal with all of the stuff's not the right word, but my hobby closet stuff, obviously, but also all the old documents. So I had to sort through documents, and it was just a grind. You're sorting through things and shredding things. And I know nobody watching this video ever goes through stuff like this, but when we sold the house 8 years ago and we had to get out, as it got closer to the end, it was kind of crunch time. And we didn't even go through stuff. We just wrapped it up in shrink wrap, threw it, even the boxes, we'd wrap the boxes in shrink wrap, throw them in the attic. We figured we'd go through them when we got moved and settled into our new place. Well, 8 years later, we're moving out of the place that we got moved and settled into. And I go into the attic and those boxes are still there. They're still shrink wrapped. And I open them up and, it's like I found oil change receipts from 4 cars ago, 20 years ago. That's my fault. So I had to go through all this stuff and shred all this stuff. But one of the things, since we're older, you don't realize how 30 years ago, 40 years ago, how much you wrote your driver's license number, which is still the same, and your social security number on everything. So you can't just take that box and dump it into a bag and throw it away. You've got to go through it all and pull out anything that's got your social security number and shred it, which was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then all the digitizing. So my job was taking videos, VHS tapes, DVDs, all of our old pictures that were, taken on analog film back when our kids were little, and scanning all of those and, getting them up into the cloud so we could save them and, I still have them. In some ways that was a lot of fun because I got to look at videos I hadn't looked at since the kids were little. And I got to see pictures of stuff that we did with the kids when they were little. And it was really fun to go back and see all that. And so I like doing that. But the process of getting all of your stuff, your documents and your pictures and your VHS tapes, and for those of you who have VHS tapes,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a grind. And you've got to give yourself plenty of time to do it because it's extremely time consuming.
Another piece of it, when Greg was talking about how it was fun to go through some of it, I don't think that you could minimize the emotional impact of not everything in your life goes perfectly, and you're going to run across the sad things too.
Yeah. That's
and true. A lot of those sad things, you've put them in the box and you've put it away. You know what's in there, but you don't necessarily open it. And in doing this whole process, you're literally cleaning out every single thing. And so you're seeing the good and the bad, the successes and the failures that you've had over an entire lifetime. And I think you need to allow yourself just the emotional time, maybe that's the way I'll put it, but the emotional time of going through that and letting yourself enjoy it, but also grieve on some of it as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. So what advice would you give someone starting today?
Okay, well, the first piece of advice I have for anyone is keep things cleaned out constantly.
So don't have the 20-year-old oil change receipt in the attic. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Start early. I think we both would say that, but I would say actually, if you have the time now, I would start cleaning things up, whether you're thinking about doing something like this in the future, or you're just thinking one day my heirs are going to have to go through all of this. Start doing some of that now while it's easy for you to do, and you'll make the future so much easier for yourself. So that'd be one piece of advice.
And there's actually a name for that. It's Swedish death cleaning.
Yeah.
So
which leads us to our next question, which is, what'd you save?
what's still left?
What's left? And I didn't save much. I'm going to be honest with you about that. And I think this is really important. It was something I told Greg earlier that I want to make sure and cover. I had 2 small boxes up in the attic, maybe 3, of my childhood memories. I mean, going back to the baby that I slept with when I was like a baby. So I had a few things like that. We've mentioned before, Greg and I were high school sweethearts. Yeah. And so we had letters we had written each other, things that I had saved, like the school newspaper where Greg was mentioned in it, or I was in it because of a musical I was in, or whatever. There were things like that, buttons that Greg had designed for homecoming because he was into art and his thing was chosen, or what, I mean, there were just these weird things. Stuff. And so what I did was just snap a picture and throw it away. And I can't tell you, that probably was the hardest thing because I had held on to those things for 45, 50, 60 years, some of them. And that was probably the hardest thing to throw away. But what were my kids going to do with those old falling apart things? So I snapped a picture. If I see that picture, I remember that memory and it's fine, but I'm not leaving my kids to try and figure that out.
Yeah. And I mean, I did that too. So where I'm different, we talk about how we've been together for 46 years. So I have like no memory of anything life related. Now, stats and figures and math, I remember that all day long, but they're not particularly useful for things these days. So she's my memory, right? So if I want to know what happened when we were in high school, I've got to ask her. So I save everything because that's my connection back to that time, because that's how I remember things. So I had a lot more, stuff that I had swirled away to remember my life from. But I did find that just taking the picture of it gave me the freedom to throw it away, because I knew if I ever wanted to go back to it, I could just go and look at that picture, and we would stick those pictures in the cloud, and that it's still there. Mm-hmm. So that worked for me. We still ended up with a lot of basically a 5x10 storage unit, not quite a whole 5x10 storage unit of things we still have to process for a couple of reasons. One, we ran out of time. Not everything in our house belonged to us.
Well, it was the kids, but we were saving it for them. And I imagine a lot of you are in that same boat, is that you still have some of the kids' stuff. And even though our kids have taken most of their stuff, there were still a few things that we ran across in attics that we were like, they didn't see this. Maybe they will want it. And so we went ahead and saved it. So that was a portion too. Yeah.
We had some collectible, we still have because it's still there in the storage unit, but some collectible artwork that we didn't want to get rid of, some paintings. And so I was originally an illustration major when I started college. So I've got paintings and drawings that I did that I wasn't quite ready to throw away. So we've saved some of those.
And then we had a few pieces of art that weren't super valuable, but that we had purchased for previous homes
Right.
that we really loved. And we know someday we'll probably put them up, in a home that we have in the future. One of the things that Greg gifted me early in this process
I have no idea where this is going.
was it's okay. We can have a storage unit. We don't have to get rid of every single thing. We can give ourselves that gift of time. And I was actually opposed to that idea. I wanted everything processed, and I did not want to have a storage unit. That felt like a failure to me. Like I wanted to get rid of it and process it. But as it came down to the last few months, I was actually grateful that I knew that that's where his mindset was, because you get in decision overload where you're like, I can't even make a decision about this anymore because I think we should get rid of it, but what if? And so we just gave ourselves permission that we were going to have a storage unit for right now. Now, do we intend to have this storage unit for 5 years? No. Our plan is at Christmas time, we're going to go through that storage unit and we'll process everything at that time.
And our daughter conveniently bought a new house.
Yes.
So
So
turnabout is fair play.
that's right. That's right. So now we're going to store some things
We're
with her.
negotiating for space.
If you need to allow yourself that for a period of time, do it. Don't think I can't do that. Just allow yourself. That's a cost of this life for a period of time.
What is it like not having these things now? Do you miss them?
I can honestly say that I don't miss them. I think I mentioned before there were a few items that I thought I would have a hard time getting rid of. One of the things that Greg thought was that I was really upset about getting rid of the piano. It wasn't the piano per se. It was the fact that I had always planned to learn how to play the piano. That had been a dream of mine since I was probably about 6 or 7 years old. And what I was sad about was that dream changing. And I know that some of you might think, well, I mean, when you stop traveling, you could buy another piano, you could get a keyboard, you could do stuff like that. I actually think learning to play the piano right now with my memory capacity would be a challenge. So
is this still full of kids' names and books up there?
that's right. Now I can tell you what your child read 20 years ago, but I just don't. I don't think that by the time we stop this travel lifestyle, because we intend to do this for several years, that I will have the ability to mentally learn how to do my brain doing one thing, my hands doing another. I think it'll be too much. Now, I mean, please leave a comment if you learn something like that later and you think, yes, Tammy, you could do this. But that was actually the hardest thing for me, was the loss of the future. And I guess I could actually transfer that to the entire thing. Getting rid of my things was not what I mourned or grieved in this whole process.
Yeah.
It was actually the change of what I knew my future was going to be.
You know, I don't miss anything. It was, I mean, I thought I would probably miss more than I did. Like, I like to drive nice cars. We like stuff. I'm gonna be honest, we like nice stuff. But once I flipped that switch in my head that said, I won't have those things anymore, but that's because I'm going to do this other thing that I really want to do, I didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
And so once I had that mentality that, I'm giving that up, but look at what I'm getting for that. I'm actually glad I don't have those things because it makes it so much easier for us to do this. Thanks for watching. We hope you found all this helpful. We certainly enjoy sharing it with you, and it's our goal that you find these things interesting and useful. And if you do, like and subscribe. That's what drives the YouTube channel. It helps more people find it.
Yeah. Until next time. Bye.
Bye. All right. I think that's all of the questions.
So closing us out.
Yeah, closing us out. So what should we say?
Please leave us a comment, like and subscribe. You guys all know the drill for all of this YouTube stuff. And then we'll see you in a week, I guess. Yeah. Probably need to redo that.
We need some blooper material. So this is probably a good spot to do that because we've been running through this without too many problems. So that was it.
Okay.
That's our blooper reel.